Hey guys, great here talking with you today. Fred, obviously you've been coming here to Triple Play for, let's say, 20, 25 years. What have you seen over these last years that, excites you, the changes that you've seen and things that you're looking forward to in the new year?
First off, it's nice to be here. Great seeing everybody. Love coming to the Triple Play. For me, because I've been in the industry so long, I just see all my colleagues and friends and people that I know that I've built relationships with over all the years. So for me, Triple Play has evolved into a very nice event. But for me, it's getting back with all the people that I grew up with in the industry and seeing how successful they are and congratulating them, throughout the years. And for me, Triple Play is that.
We were just talking to someone that knew you from 20 years ago that said they worked for you.
Longer. He said he's been in the mortgage business for over 40 years. And from my original days, from actually the Bronx to like Elmont, and my second trend in the business, it was amazing. We had like 150 loan officers back then, and he was I told him, he was one of the most intelligent guys that I had working with me. And I remembered something from 30 years ago that he went to Kellenberg School, and I went to Maria Regina, which was a Catholic high school. I moved from Brooklyn, and I was sent to a Catholic high school. He brought me a book that showed me that Kellenberg was an offshoot of Chaminade, which is one of the best schools on Long Island.
Sure.
And the management skills of Kellenberg was from Chaminade. And Chaminade was a top high school. You come out of Chaminade, you're polished, you're successful. Amazing story about those schools. And I said, Ronnie, I still have the book you gave me from Kellenberg that showed me what the training you went through and the curriculum of Kellenberg and why they were a successful Catholic organization, because they learned from another successful organization. And he said, I can't believe you have that, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Anyway, end of story. He's going to come back in an hour, and we're going to hang out. We're going to get together in Florida. He lives in Miami now, and I live up in Boca. So
Beautiful.
Great. That's part of Triple Play for me.
Sure.
And
all the old memories.
Yeah, great memories. As you guys are growing with Alpha, and we work together every day. I want to see the same thing for you guys being in the industry. You become icons, and you become, very, very needed as a confidant to the other colleagues and people in the industry. That's important. So,
Michael, as you've now heard the stories of Dad over these years and watched it from afar, and now that you're a part of coming here to Triple Play the last few years and building your own book of business and your own relationships, how have you leveraged what you learned from Dad and try and take your own path, going into the future?
Of course. So this is my second Triple Play event, and it's really special to see all the relationships we have built in the past 2 years. So like my father's been doing this 25, 30 years, and like yourself, I see all these people coming up to you and showing their support, and it's very special to see that how important of a relationship-built business this is, and we're only as good as our customers. So that's our bread and butter. These are the people that give us deals and help us thrive in our business sense.
Sure.
And we are in a thriving industry. It's different than the mortgage company. I was in the mortgage banking business for 25, 30 years, going into the private lending business for the last 8 years. And our industry is so much different than the mortgage industry. It's a good adjunct because, a lot of the people we deal with is hedge funds and REITs versus banks.
Sure.
And we deal with these products that, I got to tell you, another memory of mine is from this business the last 12 years, maybe longer. I did it privately, much longer in the 90s, but being in this, seeing all the people that obtained real estate wealth through our channels of helping them leverage and buy real estate. I can't tell you where I saw people start out not owning one property to now owning 30, 50, 80.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Now, even after the COVID, pre and post and pre-COVID, now the numbers are astronomical. The average loan sizes are over $1 million. You can't find properties. I just love this industry for what we can do for people to watch them succeed and us with them. And
Sure.
We are truly trusted partners, capital partners with a lot of our clients. And, it's not wham, bam, thank you, man. That's why I entered the private lending space, because in the mortgage space, somebody buys a house and maybe you would talk to them a couple of years later to refinance,
Right.
something else. That was back in the old days. In this business, they're coming back to you every few months to do another deal, to buy another property, buy another rental. I'm building a house over here. I need a bridge loan over here to get the cash out to go into another flip loan,
Right.
maybe in Newark or wherever they are, or Jersey, New York, wherever. It's also nice being regionally lending. As much as we do national, I like being a local regional lender, because you really can go boots on the ground with your customer, go to their project, see how beautiful of a job they're doing.
Sure.
Okay, and say to them, I think I got a great customer that's buying properties right now, and you don't have to pay a real estate commission sometimes. Or bringing in realtors to some of our flip loans
Right.
that are getting it sold, giving them, hey, you want to do this listing? Here's one of our clients. It's just an all-around
I know one of the things you love is going out to the house and taking before
love
pictures and after pictures.
Putting the lawn sign there. Just funded by Alpha Tech Lending.
I probably did over 150 renovation flips. I was a general contractor growing up with my family, and I was in the finance business back then. I was a sales finance, and then I went to broker, and then I became a bank back in the day. And I did probably from 2010 to 14, 150 deals myself. And that's how I got back into the lending even stronger, because I was friends with my clients, my customers. I would go partners with them on the projects. I'd put up the capital, we'd get the financing together, and we made money together. Then eventually got a little tight of the margins, and I branched them out on their own. I probably had 30 or 40 partnerships. And the last few months, I just bought 2 beautiful brownstones in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Just bought a property in Patchogue. And I'm going to become a buyer again from being a lender my whole life. Okay, never borrowed, lent
Right.
billions of dollars in the mortgage business, billions, and in this business, hundreds and hundreds of millions to people. And now I'm going to be a buyer again, because now's the opportunity. Now is the opportunity, everybody, to get back into buying, because the rates got really high, the government slowed everybody down, people haven't been taking as much risk, they're over leveraged. So now, getting back in, we're going to be doing the podcasting and this, talking about leverage, talking about leveraging us, network, lawyers, title companies, wholesalers. We're going to get more on the podcasting to get out there to try to help more people get into real estate, whether you did it once or you did it 10 times. Because jumping into it now, if you make a mistake, all right, you may not make as much money as you thought.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But you learned, and then the next one you make a higher profit.
You make
right?
adjustments.
You'll never lose. You can lose in the stock market. You can lose in a lot of things. In real estate, I've never lost a penny. So
Obviously, we're bullish on 2025 and the years to come. What would you say you're doing today, Michael, to kind of promote to your clients and your investors to make sure that they're ready for what's going to occur in 2025? What type of programs are you talking to them about? What are some exciting things that you're looking forward to in 2025?
Yeah, so one of the most exciting parts is I think there's going to be a lot more inventory when the rates drop. We're definitely very bullish, like Jay said, in 2025. We're hoping rates start back in the 5s to 6s, and it opens up the housing market, and people are start able to moving again once they sell their house to look for new financing. So when everyone's in a 2, 3, 4% mortgage, no one wants to leave their properties anymore because they can't afford mortgage rates in the 6s, 7s, or even 8%. So once inventory opens up a lot more, we're going to see a lot more movement in the market, which is a big thing right now. A lot of these people don't want to jump in head first because there's not as much opportunity anymore.
Right.
Like someone like my father that is now buying again, there's opportunity everywhere, but there's a lot less for everyone to eat at. So it really depends on how hard you do look and how much time you have.
I've been through 5 of these ups and downs throughout the last 30 years, and every one of them breeds opportunity from down to up. Whether the rate's 7, we're busy. Whether the rate's 8, we're busy. Whether the rate's 3, we're busy.
There's opportunity everywhere.
There's opportunity everywhere because people dive into the market, what's good for them. Me and my son just went, I think last week, we went to look at a property, 25-unit apartment building, okay? And I told the real estate agent, I said, look, I'm interested. I'm always interested, but it's about price.
Right.
Property's been around a little bit. It's a little older. The competition is newer buildings going up, new multifamilies.
Sure.
So why is somebody going to rent your apartment for $2,500?
Right.
They can go to a new one with a pool and a cabana outside. They can stay with all their friends or whatever they do and entertain with barbecues by sitting in some shitty little apartment, right?
Yep.
So I said, listen, I'm not buying a 6 cap, which everybody throws their properties out to get 6 cap. I said, I'll take it at a 9 cap. I says, because the numbers that you're working off of are completely wrong. A 6 is really not a 6 anyway. They're fooling you. I said, a 6 is really an 8 or 9 anyway, because there's people that don't pay. There's renovations that come up every few years, and repairs on the building, your responsibility. When people come in and out, real estate commissions and everything else. Okay? So nobody counts that in. Insurance went up. Rates went up.
Sure.
So if you want to buy properties now, for me, I'm buying a 9 cap. I think it was $4.5 million when they were asking 6. And that's what real estate. And if not, I'll go to the next one. Or my other option is I'll go buy a piece of land and I'll put up 25 units and probably spend the same thing.
Right.
Maybe aggravation 2 years, 3 years down the road. So if I can't get the property at the right numbers, okay, not the seller's number, because he's 40 years he owns the property.
Sure.
You got to bake in that. And most people just look at buildings and they want to buy something as an asset for their family or a 1031 exchange. No, a 6 cap is not a 6 cap. 6 cap's a 4 cap, 3 cap, 2 cap. There's no money.
Right.
So, now I'm digging into, again, to becoming an investor with my clients and myself again, because I do see the opportunity now to jump back into real estate.
I think one of the things that we saw recently was about 2 months ago when the Fed announced that there was going to be a 0.5 point, rate decrease. And then we also saw the 10-year Treasury come down to like that 3.5, 3.6. Everybody in our business kind of follows that on a day-to-day. And all of a sudden, rates dropped back into that 6 range, even high 5s. And all of a sudden, not that we're not always busy, but we got an influx of people who all of a sudden were like, wow, the boom is coming back. Yeah. Since then, the rates have gone back up a little bit. The 10-year Treasury has gone back up to about 4.2, 4.3.
It's coming.
But it was nice to see kind of like everybody seems like they're sitting on the sideline waiting.
Yep.
When is that rate?
Just had a conversation with someone about this.
It's going to explode, I think.
We started at 18% when I was in the 90s.
Right.
And then
people don't remember
Then I was
that.
at 17, then I was at 16, then I was at 15. I could take you all the way down to 2.75 in my 30 years.
Well, even the booms in the 2000s, right? Rates were like 7s, 8s.
Oh, and people
they weren't 2s and 3s.
We refinanced you at 7%, cashed you out, still saved you money.
Right.
Rate doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really never did. Whether you're doing a bridge loan, a rental loan, a non-occupied rental loan, because the rental loan is built upon your ROI and your equity going up.
Right.
Not only just because a lot of people don't make a lot of money on a single family, but if you decide to keep it for 5 years, you can make $100,000 instead of saying I made $2,000 a month, which you're not on a $2,500 rent.
Yep.
The new construction is out of control. Love it. People are making a killing on that, so I suggest you come to us and talk about new construction and getting into that market. And the bridge loans, as long as you know what you're doing and you've seen that movie before, with the cost of construction and managing the subs, it's a lot of management like I'm doing now. I'm gutting out a 3-family Brooklyn property.
Well, people don't realize all the additional costs, like you said.
$3.5 million deal.
Yeah.
We have a ton of construction, 45 different subs coming in.
Right.
And we have to be on budget.
Yep.
So the bridge loans are wonderful if you know and learn how to do them. They're excellent. The new construction is easier actually, and all they build a house easily, budget done. Just got to make sure for what you sell it for.
Right.
And new houses go like hotcakes. You get a premium.
Right.
Right. Bridge flips you don't. And the rentals, people is gobbling up because they know this country is going through a growth phase of real estate that's going to be for a long time again.
Yep.
The biggest wealth in America is the stock market, the real estate market, and obviously being family wealth.
Right.
So there's not too many things that, unless you're into a business of vinyl extrusions or some type of commodity, real estate is a guarantee for people. It was always good to me.
I know, Michael, you've been talking to a lot of people today. I've seen you out here all day. And what type of conversations are you having with people that are realtors and here at the conference? What are you hearing from them about the real estate market?
So it's the bridge products, they never really changed. With kind of the moral of the story is that it seems like everyone knows that opportunity is there and everyone wants to jump on it as soon as possible. So if you find a true real estate investor, not the guy that wants to be on the sideline, the person that does this for a living, they're always going to jump back in the market regardless of what the rates are if they know there is profit in the deal. So what I always tell people is that build a nice little team around you. Have a good CPA that knows the tax law. Have a good realtor that knows their market. Have a good lawyer, whatever it may be. Have a good team around you, because they're the ones that you're going to rely on and build your book off of. So I always tell people, if my sink breaks, am I going to fix it, or am I going to call a professional?
Yeah,
No.
right.
I'm going to call my real estate agent, my plumber, whoever it may be. So I want to be your mortgage loan officer, and I want to advise you on the current market you're in also. So that's pretty much the conversation what I'm having today with a lot of these realtors. They know the bridge products are there, and they have the clientele to back it up and still close loans.
I'm very proud of my son. Just want to get that on. Proud of my son.